Yeah, so if you're just starting or if you've actually started but you're stuck, really the thing I keep coming back to is that there is someone out there. There is someone out there who needs what you're writing. And my biggest fear is that the people who need what you're writing, if you don't write it, they will go hungry. Their prayers won't be answered. They are out there waiting to have, they won't be saying, oh, I wish so-and-so would write a book. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes, but if there is someone out there who is just sending up this desperate kind of wish and going, I wish that I wasn't so alone. I wish someone understood what I was going through. I wish I could find something that just spoke to me. And I firmly believe that if you've got the inspiration to write a book, then you are the person who needs to write that book in the way that you would say it in this world. And even if you think it's been done before, that has not been done before in the way you will do it. And someone out there is waiting for you to do that. So would you have them go hungry? Would you have them just wait forever?
Welcome to Living the Next Chapter. I have a guest with me, and we are not even close to being neighbors because where I am, it's summertime, and where my guest is, it is the opposite of that. So, Tamara, how are you? Welcome to the podcast. How are things?
Great. Thank you. Oh, things are terrific. I mean, like you said, it's winter here. It's just gotten light, which is nice.
Okay, so for me right now it is...
Yeah.
Yeah, so where are you? Ahead. You're in the southern...
I'm in the southern bits of Australia, so I'm in Melbourne, which is right down the bottom of the main island of Australia. And it's winter here. Yeah.
So what I've known from speaking to all of the great people in Australia that I've met so far is that it is tomorrow for me where you are. Yeah. So I always like to find out what the weather is going to be like for me tomorrow because you're there already. It's like Back to the Future kind of time travel thing. Is the weather going to be okay in Canada tomorrow? Can you give us an update at all?
I don't know about Canada. I'm so sorry. Here it is going to be cold and wet and grey.
That sounds like Canada as well. We'll probably take that. Right. That's about the right. So great. Thank you for making time to be on the podcast and to be part of this. Can you please just introduce yourself to everybody? Tell them, because I already know, how wonderful you are and what you're doing to help authors and kind of bring us up to speed so people listening know and can hear who you are.
Sure. Well, I'm Tamara Protassow and I'm a writing coach and mentor. I was a non-fiction editor for quite a long time, 12 plus years. And over time, I evolved into my writing coaching. I've coached and worked with over 60 authors now. And I've worked with women authors such as Denise Duffield Thomas, Leonie, Dawson and Lisa Lister. And they've all gone on to be prolific writers. So my main jam is actually getting people's books out of them and into the world where they can do the most good. So that's kind of the nexus of what I do. I run a course for authors who want to get that book going, and I also run a monthly membership where people get together and we write and we have weekly calls and, we just keep on moving on those books.
So I hear a lot of authors talking about the hardships of just getting started in writing a book. What is the first mountain that an author faces when they decide that it's time to write a book?
Ooh, well, there are kind of two. Because, there's sort of two. Because writing is 50% mindset and 50% practical. So first up, you've got to have the belief that you can do it. You can't start writing. I have people come to me, saying, I have had an idea for a decade. I've had an idea since I was younger. I get a lot of people in the, over 40 going, I always thought I'd write a book and I haven't yet. I don't understand why I haven't. I've had this idea. It hasn't gone away, So it's, we have to get into that space where you actually believe you can do it and actually think of yourself as a writer. Then there's the practical side, because a book is a massive project. It's huge. It's overwhelming. Books aren't short. They're not brochures or pamphlets or, just this short social media post. It's a long undertaking. And at the very beginning, it can be really, really daunting to actually contemplate that and take that first step. So, that's where we start. We start with, how do you think of yourself as a writer, and how do we get that overwhelming large project into manageable pieces so that you can actually start?
Exactly. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. The big thing I hear in a lot of the creative space is that you need to understand your why. And I believe in writing as well. You also need to have a very good concept of your why, so that you can then craft your why towards creating a community and an audience around what you're doing. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of why as far as approaching your book?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All the best books have a great why, and the why is always, always connected to your reader. So I work in the non-fiction space. That's, that includes memoir, it includes creative non-fiction, where you build a story around true events. That it also includes books like how-tos and compilations, that kind of thing. And the why keeps the book from being selfish. So when a book is self-focused, when you're writing just for, particularly nonfiction, this is very specific to nonfiction. Your why needs to reach out and connect with people. So connecting to that reader, really defining the reader really strongly, and knowing exactly the one person you're writing to is really important, because usually a nonfiction book is for something, for someone, to help in some way. To even entertaining. People don't think of entertaining as being helpful, but it is, it provides a service for us as humans. When we're entertained, we're having a great time, we're uplifted, we feel great, or we feel like we've had an experience, we love that. So, really connecting to your reader and understanding who that reader is the cornerstone of having a really great why, because usually it is to, sometimes affect a change in the world. And that's a fabulous why. It's to reach out and hold someone's hand through a difficult time. These are all terrific whys, and they take the focus off you as a writer and they put the focus on the reader. So that being of service to someone really helps the writing process as well. So it helps make a great book, and it helps you write the book too. So, that's it's the crucial kind of intersection between you and the reader and the book. There's kind of this three-way thing going on there.
So I would anticipate that an author coming to you to work with you and for you to help them in the process, the authors are coming, and they're all different personality types, disciplines, giftings, trials, shortcomings. These are people writing books. Yeah. So you may have one author that's super disciplined, writes every day, and then have another author who is the opposite of that. During the writing process, what are some of the things that authors can learn about themselves? We talked about the audience, but about themselves as they write a book. Yeah,
there is a lot of self-growth when you write a book. And, I'm not talking about the sort of thrash yourself, write a book in 30 days, all of that. That is 100% possible. I love that people kind of, set out and they do that. The book you're going to get at the end of 30 days, that's a draft, and that's going to need work. But, what we learn about ourselves when we're writing is how we work best and how to actually block out the outside noise about how things should happen. Everyone's like, well, I should write every day. I should write X amount of words per day. This famous author said that they wrote X amount of words a day, or, they didn't sleep and they just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And, that's how I should be. But, we call that shooting on yourself, and we don't shoot on ourselves. The best way to, my authors tend to learn how they themselves work as individuals, as authors, and then to keep doing that. So, everyone will be, super supportive. Like in my groups, they're super supportive when someone says, oh, wow, this is like my 63rd day of writing in a row. And I'm so pleased. I feel like I've got momentum. I'm keeping up with myself. I'm feeling great. Everyone's like, fantastic. That works for you. Awesome. But, someone else might, and I tried this. I was like, okay, I'm writing every day. And by the 10th day, I felt like I was, so obligated and so resistant, and so, it just felt like a chore, and I was not getting great writing. So I had to do something different. And, that's, a lot of authors find that too. And it's actually trusting that you've got this, you can do this in the way that suits you, so it is about, you learn to know yourself and work in the way that works for you, and shut out the outside noise. Because that is, I was having a call last night with my writing group, and we were talking about exactly this, and everyone described the different ways that they write. And, there were similarities, but everybody had their own rhythm and their own way of doing it. And that's so crucial to know. And not just buy into the stereotype that lives in your head. It's about cultivating, we call it the inner writer, your own inner self who is a writer, not the writer stereotype, and not trying to fit the writer stereotype that lives in your head. Like if I say, picture a writer, and, for me, Ernest Hemingway pops into my head, I am nothing like him, and if I identify with him, I'm just going to, and try and write in the way that he did, and try and live my life the way he did, there's going to be blockages inside. I'm not going to be able to write, because my inner self is going to go, you are not like that. You're not a writer. So cultivating that self-knowledge of your own inner writer, who you are as a writer, is really important.
Wow. Okay, so there's a big learning journey then in writing a book. This is going to be like, I'm picturing as you're talking, writing in front of a mirror and seeing yourself in the process and going, wow, I'm uncovering this about myself. I'm not as disciplined as I thought I would be. I need to work on this, and this in my life, because these are where I'm getting stuck. And writing a book just seems to magnify the things that I'm doing well, but also the things I need to work on. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I often say writing's not really for the faint of heart. Like it's the people writing books with me tend to be writing books that do uncover stuff for them. It's just the way it goes, but they get a deeper book in the process, and of course there's resistance to that. There's always resistance to that. And we work with that in particular ways. Like no one is asking anybody to go to places in their own self that damage them. Like that's not the case. If that's on the way to happening, we're great fans of saying, go and get help, go and get someone to hold your hand, get some professional kind of input there, in the form of therapy or whatever you need to sort of make life stable for yourself. You're not required to hurt yourself to write your book, you know.
Yeah.
So we're quite careful in that way. But at the same time, there's a value in really assessing your own resistance, because quite often that resistance is your, that lizard brain, that kind of reptilian base instinct going, ooh, that might feel a bit uncomfortable. I'm not sure if I really want to go there. So I'm just going to make you scared and resistant. And I'm not going to don't, no, alarm, don't do it, you know. And my favorite, my favorite person who talks about this is Seth Godin, the marketing guru, who he's just like, it's your lizard brain, and your job is to write into the resistance, because that's where you're going to find the absolute gold. Like, you're going to get a better, deeper, understanding if you push back against that a bit. So, it's really important to acknowledge your resistance and figure out whether it is, your lizard brain, or whether it's whether it's actually like something you don't want to go towards. You need to sort of finesse that distinction. And if it's garden variety resistance, you go, okay, I'm going to go there. I'm going to write. I'm going to see what comes out. And usually that's the thing that connects. That's the thing that connects to your reader, because you're coming from an authentic experience, and your reader gets that. They want that connection. They want to feel understood. They want to feel like someone has been where they've been. So that's where writing into your resistance comes in.
I like that. It's a powerful thought. I love that. So talk a little bit about writing a book in a community setting rather than writing on your own by yourself in a little room at your desk with no one around. I think maybe some authors prefer to write on their own, but the idea of writing in a community setting like what you provide, what are some of the benefits of writing in that environment?
Well, I mean, I think you're right. Authors write alone. That's what we do. Even in our writing calls that I run, we hop on Zoom. We all say what we're going to write on for that hour, like which bit we're up to in our books or what we're doing. And then everyone turns off their camera and we get writing. And, you're still there by yourself. Like, no one's watching you do the words, But the benefit of being in that community is that you actually get the work done. You actually write because other people are writing too. And somehow that collective momentum means that, you get further along quicker. That momentum carries you. When you're having a bad day, you can come into the group. There's a Facebook group attached to it, of course. But you can come into the group and go, I'm not having a great day. I feel like I'm writing with oven mitts on my hands and it's just all clunky and awful and it's really hard. And people will go, oh, that's okay. Like, I had the day like that yesterday. And you go, oh. And suddenly there's that thought that, this isn't forever, So it's really great having people who understand the trials that you're going through. And it's also kind of amusing when to get that perspective, because you can be there going, oh no, I feel like this, I'm an utter failure as a writer, my vocabulary sucks, my, like the whole thing. And then people will be like, oh yeah, I felt like that last week. And you're like, oh, I'm actually not a special little person after all. I'm just like everybody else. So it's a great leveler. It's great for inspiration, because someone might read an article that really sparks something and they go, oh, I'll share that in the group. And you might never have come across that article otherwise. It could be something about writing. It could be something about inspiration or creativity or thought, or, or it could be about your topic. Someone will say, hey, I saw this article. I know you're writing a book on that. Like, have you seen this? So it's a really great source of ideas, inspiration, accountability. Like, I know that some of my writers, connect outside the group a few times a week in order to write together and get further along. And, it's just a really great way to get further along with support. It might not be for everyone, but that's fine. If you're writing solitary and that is exactly what suits you, then going back to the very beginning, I was saying you work in the way that works best for you. Figure that out. Mm.
Yeah. And that must be the most interesting Zoom call ever, to have nobody up on the screen. Everybody's there together, connected, but that's got to be, I would love to be a fly on the wall and just see that happen. That would be interesting. But I love the fact that you're showing up, right? You're creating time in your calendar. You're going to write for this period of time. That other people are going to be there with you. So I love how you're building community and building bridges, even within the author community, for them to reach out to each other. And whether it's in the meeting or outside of the meeting, you're helping to bridge authors together. That's amazing. Yeah. That's really, really good.
Yeah, I have to say I went into it not knowing what it would look like and not knowing what gifts would come from that, but it's wonderful. And people they're just very supportive of each other. There's, authors are wonderful people. They're just supportive and lovely. And I don't know if that's, because they're the ones who want to be in a community. I mean, yeah. It's just great to see it. It just feels like a real gift. Mm.
It's amazing. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, this all started for you as a side hustle back in 2012. Is that correct?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. My youngest started school in 2012, and after about 2 weeks of hanging about, because I'd been a stay-at-home mum, after about 2 weeks of hanging about, I thought, I am bored out of my brain. Everything that can be cleaned has been cleaned. I am now officially very bored. And I thought it would take longer. My partner was very supportive and was saying, oh, look, take your time, have a couple of months. It's, don't worry, blah, blah. And after 2 weeks, I was like, I am going to be rocking in a corner very soon. So, I thought, I've got this degree in English. I love books. I love writing. And so I just started asking around in the way that back then I thought I'll be an editor, but when you're starting out in that field, you tend to start with proofreading. So I put the word out. It wasn't particularly loud, that word. I had no idea how to get the word out, but, my partner's an engineer, and he just sort of went, oh, I'll tell a few people if you want. I said, all right. So I actually started proofreading engineering reports. And I can tell you that is the ultimate in nonfiction. It is very dry, very, very, I hesitate to say boring. It's interesting to the right person. I'm obviously not the correct audience for those. But I started doing that, and, obviously they were happy with what I did. And from there, I started to get proofreading for business books. So there was a program running at the time that I think was in, I'm not sure how many countries it was in. I know it was in Australia, in Singapore, and in England, in London, and it was called KPI, Key Person of Influence. And so I started proofreading and then editing books that people wrote through that program. They were writing business books, short business books about their area of expertise. So that's kind of how I started with the nonfiction, started with the booker's business card, I suppose you could call it.
Yeah, and, for sure.
Yeah, and then I started getting authors there who would come to me with an unfinished manuscript. and they'd say, I need my book edited. And I'd be like, you need your book finished. I can't edit a thing that's not done. You need to finish this thing. And then we started to get it. That's when we ran into the sort of mindset stuff. They were there going, but I can't. I've hit the wall. I don't know how to finish this book. And so I started to get more into that coaching, mentoring role. And, that is where I was like, oh, this is the thing. This is the thing that I'm doing, So I guess by definition, side hustle is a little, I kind of wended my way into this work from being a full-time mum. But at the same time, the coaching and mentoring was happening alongside the proofreading. I decided I needed to bring that cash in. So I was doing proofreading, I was doing editing, and that was kind of became the main gig. And then the stuff that I really loved, that stuff that I'm technically, that's the side hustle. I was doing those things that felt like, slipping away to kind of, I don't know, do something sneaky. It was, I was like, but this is what I really love. I love doing this bit. And when I sort of had the calls for coaching and had that, it felt like I was like leaving my full-time job to kind of go and sneak off and things. So eventually that's kind of, I guess that's what really felt side hustle-ish. And then bringing that into the everyday was the challenge.
Great. So let's chat a little bit too about what you've written. Tell me a little bit about your projects that you've done yourself.
Yeah, well, I've written a lot of like ebooks and stuff for authors and things, and then turned that into my course. There's still one available. I've got lots of free stuff that I kind of give away to authors, and so one of those ebooks still lives on as a free item that I just give away to help people get started. But at the moment, my authors membership, like that group we've been talking about, is actually called Book Right Now with Me, because I decided that I was writing a book as well, and it would be valuable for all of us if I was just vulnerable and there and going, well, I'm right here too. Like I'm going through this process as well, and I'm writing, and I will share about it, like everyone else shares about their trials in that space. And so, I'm writing a book. It's all about, it's probably going to be called Book Right Now because, hey, branding, hooray.
There you go.
And it really mirrors the course. It's 50% mindset, 50% practical stuff. So, I just go through all the stuff that I do with authors. Even though I have a heap of material that is exactly what needs to be in the book, I'm still finding myself challenged in all the ways that the authors I work with have described being challenged. It doesn't change just because I work in the space.
Yeah. I love that you're on the journey as well as helping people on the journey. That's great. And we talked a little bit too earlier that you have some free resources and tools on your site for authors. Yeah. Can you share your website address for everybody as well?
Yes, I can. It is my name, so it's www.tamaraprotassow, TamaraProtassow.com, and then you can head up to free stuff. There is a quiz in there, which is just a bit of fun. It's about knowing your author archetype, because there's different kind of ways of being an author, and I found that they fit into 4 different kind of categories. So I made a bit of a quiz. That was a fun week when I made that quiz.
Nice.
There's a video of like the 5 mistakes that first-time authors make and how to avoid them. So that's, pretty useful. It's pretty quick. It's a 3.5-minute video. Like that is, your short, sharp bit of help there. And then, as I said, there's my ebook, and I have just now the title has slipped my mind. I think it's something like success, success tips. I would click away from this, but there's
you just were like, oh no, away. What happens? Yeah.
Do not click away. So there is an ebook on there as well, and that's for your slightly longer help, but it basically helps you get started. So it steps you through the things you need to know in order to make a plan for your book and get yourself going. So that's on there as well.
And then also on the website, you'll have information about the community that you're building for authors.
Oh, yeah.
And your contacts and all that information is all there as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. Everything you need to know is on my website. I've blog regularly, so there's always something new to look at on there. It's always tips or, sometimes I have a bit of a rant about the state of the world and as well.
I think we all do. Right
if you... I just want people to know it's not just them. That's all.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So, Tamara, can you give us a little closing thought for authors at the beginning of their journey or in the middle of their journey, somewhere along the line, they're in the journey of writing their book and they haven't been in a community yet, which they should, but any kind of words of wisdom for them from your perspective to encourage them in the process?
Yeah, so if you're just starting or if you've actually started but you're stuck, really the thing I keep coming back to is that there is someone out there. There is someone out there who needs what you're writing. And my biggest fear is that the people who need what you're writing, if you don't write it, they will go hungry. Their prayers won't be answered. They are out there waiting to have, they won't be saying, oh, I wish so-and-so would write a book. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes but if there is someone out there who is just sending up this desperate kind of wish and going, I wish that I wasn't so alone. I wish someone understood what I was going through. I wish I could find something that just spoke to me. And I firmly believe that if you've got the inspiration to write a book, then you are the person who needs to write that book in the way that you would say it in this world. And even if you think it's been done before, that has not been done before in the way you will do it. And someone out there is waiting for you to do that. So would you have them go hungry? Would you have them just wait forever?
Excellent. Tamara's here on Living the Next Chapter. And we're also going to release this on Living My Side Hustle because we want to encourage side hustlers as well. This is such a great time to chat with you. Again, I'm so appreciative that you have time to do this. And everyone, please, we'll have all the information in the show notes that you can connect with our wonderful guest and reach out and let her know that you heard the podcast and heard her on Living the Next Chapter and Living My Side Hustle. Tamara, thank you so much for being a part of this tonight.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
Excellent. And we will talk again soon. And let us know if you have any authors that would love to be on our podcast. If they come from you, immediately they get prime treatment because they're coming from a great source.
Beautiful. Excellent. I will.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you for all your time tonight and this morning.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Well, right. I'm in the future. The day's looking great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Dave.
All right. Okay. Hi guys, this is Dave from Living the Next Chapter, a podcast designed to connect authors and audiences. We're always on the lookout for our next interview. If you're an author, a publisher, and you have a book, whether you're just starting, whether you're halfway through writing, or it's all done and you want to tell the world, that's why we're here at Living the Next Chapter. Get in touch with us through livingthenextchapter.com, contact us, and let's set up some time together to discuss your book, to discuss your project, and how we can get you on the show. My name is Dave, and I would love to speak to you. So go to livingthenextchapter.com, and let's get over there together and discuss all the great things that you're up to as an author, as a publisher, and let's grow your audience together. Join us on livingthenextchapter.com for great authors and an audience that's eager to hear about what you're up to as an author and a publisher. Contact us today and let's get your book out in front of others. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.